Canada's childcare crisis is shaping up to be one of the major issues of this election. Canadians struggling with some of the highest childcare costs in the world. There are also lengthy waiting lists for spots available. Joining us is Carolyn Ferns. She's the Public Policy and Government Relations Coordinator for the Ontario Coalition for Better Childcare. And Mike Boone, who is a Toronto father of 4. Good to have you both with us today.
Thank you.
Mike, I see you have 2 of those 4 with you today, your kids aged 3 and 5. You have young children in 2 different daycare centers. What would you consider to be the ideal situation for your family?
Well, ideally, it wouldn't be so incredibly stressful to get the spots in the first place. I mean, in this neighborhood, it's not uncommon for you to give birth, and then the next day you're putting your children on a list to get them the actual spots. So ideally, that stress would be removed at what's already like the most stressful point in a parent's life. But also, this 5-year-old Jarvis here just changed schools to go to French immersion, and because of a boundary issue, we're like 500 meters too close to the new schools. We don't qualify for busing, so then we had to kind of scramble and find alternative childcare for him, and now we have 2 different locations, 2 children, so there's a pickup, drop-off, logistics, exciting situation every single day. So.
It's certainly, we have the same situation in our household. It makes for a dynamic family life for sure. We've been hearing a lot of family-friendly promises. Of course, this is an election time. Let's take a look at where everybody stands on childcare, and then Carolyn, I'll get your response to that. The Liberals are promising to increase the Canada Child Benefit by 15% for kids under the age of 1. They're also promising maternity, parental benefits, tax exempt, and to create up to 250,000 more spaces for kids in and after childcare programs, before and after school childcare programs. So the NDP have pledged now to invest $1 billion in affordable childcare in 2020. They also have plans to grow that investment annually. Meantime, the Conservatives last week, you'll remember, they announced tax-free maternity benefits, and the Green Party, to round it out, want to add $1 billion a year in childcare funding until it achieves the target of 1% of the GDP annually. Greens are also promising to eliminate the GST on all construction costs that are related to childcare spaces. A lot of promises to wade through. Voters are wondering which is the right plan for families.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is top of mind for a lot of voters, for a lot of young families. I'm really interested to see now the Liberals, the NDP, and the Greens have made significant promises on childcare, which, as we just heard, is such a complex issue for families to try to scramble to figure out. So all of those parties are making pretty significant commitments. I'm really happy to see that the Liberals and the NDP are talking about things like national legislation and a central body that could actually be focused on figuring out this issue across the country, because it's really quite a complex policy area. The Conservatives are sort of being left behind because they're only really offering a tax credit scheme, which doesn't do enough to actually help create services, which is what families really need.
Mike, I want to bring you back into this discussion. We know the average Ontario family spends a quarter of their family income on childcare. How much do your childcare costs affect your overall household budget? Jarvis, I think, wants to weigh in too.
Wow, there's actually, Anne-Marie, there's a lot of psychology at play here. I'm not a psychologist, but I play one on TV. But essentially, the costs are so enormous at the beginning, and as every parent knows, these costs go down as the child ages. So you adapt this incredible expense, enormous expense when they're very young, and then as they age, that expense goes down. And then because it goes down, you start to feel like you're actually getting a bargain. Like it feels like, oh my goodness, we're only paying $2,000 a month now. What a steal. But it's only feeling like it's a smaller expense because of how enormous it was to begin with. So the costs, especially when your child is under the age of 18 months, so if a parent goes back after a parental leave, the child's under 18 months, is astronomical. It changes your entire lifestyle. It's enormous.
I feel like your 3-year-old was like verbalizing your frustration and the frustrations of many. Carolyn, we see this right across the country. In areas like Toronto, it's about cost and availability, but in other places, it's simply about the fact that, in Kitchener-Waterloo, they have almost 2-year waiting lists to get access to childcare. Sometimes the kids age out before they even get it. Final question to both of you, and Mike, I'll bring you in because you're busy there. What's it going to take to win your vote in this election?
Well, obviously, childcare is one of many key issues for me. This is a whole different episode, but I wish I could vote for the party I want in power instead of strategically voting against the party I least want. And this first past the post system is wrong, and we need to look at ranked balloting. So there's my side rant, but this is definitely an important issue.
Definitely. Sure. And Carolyn, what about you? What will it take to win your vote?
Well, I think I really want to see a party be ambitious when it comes to childcare and really talk about moving this issue forward, creating a real system that works, as you said, in every community, that works in Toronto, that works in small towns and rural areas across the country. And that's a big piece of work. And Canada, frankly, has a lot of catching up to do compared to international, where there's lots of countries that have real childcare systems. So I need a party that's going to be ambitious when it comes to childcare.
Good to hear from both of you today. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.